The last thing I wanted to mention about Netflix, I want to talk about Netflix real quick, just because we've talked about, we kind of updated on Netflix over the years on Marketing Monday, and I couldn't figure out how to put this into Monday's presentation, so I just cut it. But it's Netflix, if you are not keeping up with the streaming wars, is dominating. Netflix is dominating, bro. Ever since they cracked down on password sharing and have redoubled their efforts on like passive third screen content that you barely have to watch, they've just been crushing. The Emily in Paris model has been crushing. They have the ad tier. Anyway, everyone else is kind of falling off and running out of money and having problems, and Netflix is just profitable and crushing. As far as the streaming wars are going, they're basically over at this point, and Netflix won. I'm pretty much ready to call it. They're over. I mean, there's just no more gas left in the tank in these competitors. The era of like everyone dropping new $100 million shows every week and like hungry for market share gains, and Netflix is crushing. So expect to see price raises. This could slow down, don't get me wrong, but like it feels like they've emerged from the pack pretty much guaranteed, and like this era of streaming wars is now no longer, we have a clear winner. How's Amazon? Amazon is higher than this, but only because it's included with Prime, so you can't really, it's tough to say. It's tough to say, but from my understanding, Amazon has fewer active users of Prime Video than Netflix. So I wanted to mention that, and I also want to say, we talked about this. I remember this area, this tiny little bump where Netflix slowed down and stopped growing was this drop in their stock. This little bump was this drop, and then they rallied back. And it's because right here, right at this moment in like late 21, all of these competitors were surging. Everyone was coming in, and Netflix, they thought they might have peaked. Like the market thought the line was now here. They thought that was their top, but they just kind of redoubled their efforts. They did the password crackdown and everything went back to growth. I didn't know Netflix stock was worth that much. People often are surprised when I tell them Netflix is worth more than Disney, and has been for a while. Like Netflix as a company is worth more than the entirety of Disney. Theme parks, toys, merch, that's usually something that people are surprised by. Do you think the value's inflated like with Tesla? It's tough to say. I mean, if there's a downturn, I'm sure the stock will not stay so highly elevated, but it's still growing. So this is market predicting growth. But I want to say Netflix is profitable. That's the thing about Netflix. They have found a way to make streaming profitable, which is rare. All of these are not for streaming. And I think it's by making enough slop. Having enough paying subs, and by making enough slop cheap shows, they have found a way to make this profitable. YouTube's profitable. YouTube, I don't count as one of these competitors, but yeah, YouTube is crushing. YouTube is great. I mean, YouTube is an incredible business model. You don't even have to pay for the content. I talked about this, I have a video about this from a while ago, but like the difference between Netflix and YouTube is YouTube doesn't have to pay anything for the content. I make videos for YouTube for free and they get half of the revenue, or, you know, someone much bigger than me. I mean, the server costs are insane. Yeah, but they're essentially fixed. I mean, server costs are overrated. They already have exceeded them and they're already making money. So it's all pure profit from there. Server costs go down over time. They get more efficient. Mr. Beast makes YouTube content and they don't have to pay him. That's so wild. That's so wild. Like Amazon had to pay him $100 million or something for a show. And he just makes all this shit for YouTube for free. And then they get, you know, half the revenue. It's the best business model. Why is Reddit stock climbing? I'll tell you. Great question. Reddit stock is climbing because this company's making money. Reddit had good earnings. Reddit must be selling ads, dude. Reddit had good earnings. I don't know. They had user growth. They had earnings growth. I mean, they had advertising growth. Maybe they're selling data to AI companies. That could be a big part of it for sure. But I'm pretty sure they had significant user growth too. They had fourth quarter revenue of 400 million and a better forecast for the future. Yeah, look, yeah, that's what I was talking about. Look, as I mentioned, daily active users grew 47% year over year. That's wild. Compare that to Twitter, which is like the opposite. People are moving to Reddit. I don't know. I've always kind of passively used Reddit. Like I use Reddit every now and then, but I mean, you know, I think it is. It's like there's fewer and fewer places for text-based thought on the internet, and Twitter's kind of gone to shit. Where else do you go? You know what I'm saying? If you want to write things or read written things about anything, forums are dead. Googling something like how to make hot dogs Reddit has become very popular. Yeah, people add Reddit to their Google searches because Google's so bad. 100%. Although a lot of people are just switching to ChatGPT. Let's talk about the jobs. I'm glad you brought this up. Let's talk about jobs. Last thing we'll talk about, and then I'm going to get into gaming, but I do think this is all really important. Specifically, youth unemployment, because it is signaling something. Yeah, here we go. This is the graph I wanted. This is unemployment levels. And you can see here, the blue is under 25. You'll notice normally these move in sync. Like the under 25 and over 25 unemployment levels are almost, 1-to-1, very close. But we're having a bit of a divergence right now, some of which is being attributed to gig work, because jobs like Uber won't let you drive if you're under 25 for the insurance. So you'll see like the unemployment rate, as I've been saying, is being masked. It's not rising as fast as you might think because a lot of people are getting into gig work. They're getting jobs that are counting as jobs, but aren't real. They're not like what they want. It's like the age of 25. I picked it specifically because that's the age you can't drive Uber. And so realistically, the unemployment rate's probably closer to this, where the under 25 is, or catching up to it. So we're seeing really high youth unemployment. It's like it's rising, because they're getting hit with a double whammy of, I think, a slowing jobs economy and AI, which is like eliminating super entry level stuff. It's fucking up entry level knowledge work. So that's what I'm talking about first. Then I want to say the jobs numbers came out yesterday, and it was expected to have 100,000 new jobs. That was the rough estimate, average estimate, 100,000 new jobs in October. We got 12K. We got 12K and essentially 0 private ones. At the same time, let's see if I can pull it up. I tweeted about this too. I went through, I read the whole thing when the bailout spits out a report. I read the top to bottom because there's a lot of stuff hidden in there. At the same time, the numbers we talked about for August and September both got revised down. Again, a consistent pattern this whole year. I think I have a graph for this too. Wait, outside of March and July, which had small but positive revisions, it's been massive downward revisions. And again, August and September got revised down. Does job report include farming and agriculture? It's non-farm payrolls. But the only jobs that are growing, you go through the report, the only jobs that are growing, if you count this 12K as growth, the only jobs going up are government, healthcare, and construction still a little bit, but that's slowing down. It's government, healthcare, and construction. Outside of that, that's literally like 85% of all jobs being created. If you don't want to work in one of those three, there's jobs declining. Private jobs is essentially, I assume, listen, based on this, so you can imagine, like, let me pull up a number, August jobs report. So back in September, when this headline came out, it was like August payrolls grew by less than expected, 142,000. 142,000 was less than expected back then. And then this number just now we find out is a lie. It's not a lie, but it's wrong. And it's revised down. So like all the headlines are like, it was revised down by 81,000. Do you know what I'm saying? It was less than expected at 142. What is it? It's catastrophic if it's 81,000 less than that. The numbers that come out are like, this number was 80,000 too high back when it was published in September. So imagine if the number that just came out, the 12,000 one, if that gets revised down, it's probably negative. And we haven't had negative prints since 2020, COVID, and 07 would be the last two. So it's, it's interesting. It's happening. At the same time, the US, it's hard to explain how this works. We cut interest rates on our short-term treasuries, but if you'll notice, the yields on all of our bonds are rising. And whenever you say bond yields, people glaze over. So let me just try to say, these numbers being green is generally bad. What it means is if someone is selling you an IOU, if you think they're too risky, you're going to ask for a higher rate. Okay. The market is asking a higher rate from all of the United States IOUs. So as this goes up, that means that they cannot sell. People aren't buying the US treasuries. That's what I'm saying. So, and what it means is your mortgage payment's going to be higher. So the more like the 10 years usually what it based on. So as the 10-year goes up, the mortgage rate goes up. So this is signaling that the market is like expecting the United States to have a inflation problem or to not be able to pay its debts or, whatever. That's a debt problem. So just a lot of new data coming in that's like pretty worth discussing. Guys, I swear I'm not a doomer. Do you want me to just lie? Do you want me to sit up here and lie, barely thinking? Do you want me to just, what do you want me to say? Do you want me to not? I'm just reading the actual facts. What will be the devil's advocate here? Devil's advocate is, if I'm being sincere on the devil's advocate, a lot of people will tell you that there is election nervousness. People aren't buying homes because there's election panic. Yeah, you might see this. Jittery home buyers want election to be over before they make their move. There could be like people aren't spending as much because of the election. There could be that. And the idea is that after the election is over and settled, that this trend could change. Employers will hire. Oh, sorry, I'm so sick, dude. Employers will hire more. The idea is maybe that they're freezing hiring till after the election. It's a possibility. That would be the idea is that things are slowing down as a uncertainty into the election, and once that's over, things will pick up. I don't believe that, but like that would be a counter argument. I have 2 college degrees at 21 and I'm struggling. Yeah, the entry level white collar work is brutal. It's brutal right now. It's brutal. There's just a complete hiring freeze. There's layoffs, but the layoffs aren't at a mass level yet, but it's a hiring freeze like crazy. They're just not. Have you tried a 3rd degree? That's rude. That's rude. That's rude. Don't, come on. Don't kick the man when he's... By the way, if you're watching this on Big A Clips channel, reminder, you can get the new Nortel quarter zip and Nortel hats. Support Canadian fraud. It's like American fraud, but colder. Nortel, one of actually the biggest fraud in Canada history. Wear that merch proudly on your body and let the Canadians know you remember their greatest moment.